We are previewing College Football Week 11 here at SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We're talking right now with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. And Steve, the third game you want to talk about, Florida Atlantic, Western Kentucky, a Sun Belt game. Western Kentucky's a 16.5-point home favorite, even though they've had two straight losses, home losses against Sun Belt teams. And Florida Atlantic, you know, they don't have a very good record, but they did beat Troy a couple weeks ago, which is somewhat impressive at home, but still 16.5 points. I mean, Western Kentucky's obviously a much better team, but do you think this big of a line is warranted?
I do think it's warranted.
Okay.
In the 2011 version of this matchup, Florida Atlantic not only lost 20-0 at their place, but they did not get past the Western Kentucky 39-yard line the entire game. Florida Atlantic is riding a 15-game away losing streak as they go into Bowling Green, Kentucky. Western Kentucky last played Thursday night, November 1st, so they have an extra 2 days. They've had an extra 2 days to prepare for this. For Western Kentucky, there is urgency in this game since they sit one game back in the Sun Belt Conference standings. And in the Sun Belt Conference, Florida Atlantic is last in total offense, while Western Kentucky is first in total defense. For rushing offense, Western Kentucky is 45th in the country, third in the Sun Belt. They have a 1,000-yard rusher already at running back. He's ranked 8th nationally in rushing yards per game. Florida Atlantic's rushing defense is 110th in the FBS and last in the Sun Belt. Western Kentucky has a very efficient quarterback. He completes nearly 69% of his passes, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And he's facing a Florida Atlantic passing defense that ranks 39th in the FBS. That sounds pretty good. But when you see those generic rankings in the NCAA, they're based on yards per game. If you look at yards, passing yards allowed per passing attempt, Florida Atlantic actually ranks 121st out of 124 teams in the FBS. Florida Atlantic offense scores the fewest points in the Sun Belt. Their defense allows the second most points in the Sun Belt. Western Kentucky's total defense ranks 25th versus the FBS. The only other top 25 defenses that Florida Atlantic has faced this season, they've been Alabama and Georgia, and those guys destroyed Florida Atlantic by 33 and 34 points. And before people jump all over me thinking I'm comparing Western Kentucky to Alabama and Georgia, I'm just saying statistically, by the numbers, this Western Kentucky defense is in the top 25, just like those two schools. Both teams, both Florida Atlantic and Western Kentucky, are having really great against the spread seasons. Florida Atlantic is 7-2 against the spread. Western Kentucky is 6-2 against the spread. But here's an interesting stat. For 4 seasons now, the only time that Western Kentucky has lost against the spread is when they have also lost straight up. We do not like the odds of Florida Atlantic beating Western Kentucky straight up and therefore against the spread. Western Kentucky head coach Willie Taggart, this is his 3rd season. He is 70.97% against the spread as a head coach there. That is phenomenal. We like Western Kentucky in giving up 16.5 points here.
All right. We will see how this one turns out as well. Thanks so much, Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. We'll talk to you again next week.